Joining me now, Texas Governor Greg Abbott here in Dallas. Governor, it's great to see you. I'd like to share with the audience the truth, and you just turned to me, the truth is, and said, was that real or was that AI?
Did he really say that?
He really said that.
That's insane. And one thing that makes it insane, it shows how he really doesn't care about his own constituents. There are people being slaughtered on his own streets, people whose lives are endangered who are his constituents, as well as members of ICE and federal law enforcement whose lives are being endangered. And he's talking about hot dog food and the Milwaukee Brewers. No wonder he's a massive failure. No wonder. Did you see what Pete Hegseth said? He said that Pritzker needs to stop complaining and do some push-ups.
You can always count on the Secretary of War to nail this right on the top of with the hammer. He's always, he knows how to tell the truth. But Pritzker thinks he has the truth on you, Governor. You know, Texas National Guard is part of the contingent going to Illinois. And he wasn't just talking about the Milwaukee Brewers. He was talking about you as well. So I'd love for you to watch this. This is what he has to say about the Texas National Guard and you, Governor Abbott. I think we have the sound. Hopefully we have the sound of Governor Pritzker talking about you and the deployment of the National Guard to Illinois. Here we have it now. Finally, here's Governor Pritzker.
Well, I just want to go back for just a moment to say another governor that signed on to that same letter to President Biden and who spoke out against the deployment and federalization of troops was Greg Abbott in Texas. So, and FYI, you signed on and I signed on.
So you hear there, he's talking about a letter that you wrote during the Biden administration denouncing deploying the National Guard for federal purposes. What do you say to Governor Pritzker?
So remember what we were doing at that time? What we in Texas were doing, we were deploying our National Guard to our border, doing the job that President Biden should have been doing, which is securing the border. He was trying to strip away Texas's ability to defend our own border, to do Joe Biden's job. And so it was outrageous. He wanted my National Guard. But let me say something else about Pritzker. And you showed Gavin Newsom there also. Because one thing that both of them have, as well as all governors have, they put their left hand on the Bible and raise their right hand, and they take an oath to support the Constitution of the United States of America. Both of them are in dereliction of the United States Constitution because what the Constitution says, it authorizes the president, in fact, it requires the president to execute the laws of the United States. All the president's trying to do in Chicago is to execute the laws of the United States by arresting those who are in the country illegally, and they are interfering with the president's ability to execute the laws. They are interfering with the Constitution. They are violating the oath they swore to God they would take.
This position that you hold is one shared by President Trump. Apparently isn't one shared with all of the governors across America. The headline in the New York Times today reads, Texas blue state deployments shred relations between governors. What do you say to those other governors and why you have aided the Trump administration in using Texas National Guard?
I just urge the governors very simply, go read the law. Because what the law provides is what's called Title 10 that authorizes the president to call up National Guard in order to help the executive branch execute and enforce the immigration laws of the United States. They're actually in violation of that federal law. What Texas has done is authorizing the president to call up National Guard, as he is authorized under Title 10, to deploy them in situations like this. This isn't Texas deploying the Texas National Guard in Illinois. It's the president using his lawful authority to call up the National Guard and to deploy them where needed in order for federal officials to enforce the laws of the United States.
So under that theory, I would assume, since it's President Trump calling up the National Guard, any other governors that declined to do what you did, you would think would be in violation of the regulatory statutory authority of President Trump.
Well, for one, they are in violation, but for another, there's a recent court order authorizing Trump to do exactly this, a court order of that conservative state, California, when Governor Newsom said he would not deploy the Guard and filed a lawsuit against Trump for deploying the Guard there in California. He got a federal court ruling favoring Gavin Newsom, favoring California. It was appealed to the Ninth Circuit, maybe the most liberal federal court of appeals in the United States. The Ninth Circuit said President Trump has the authority to deploy the Guard for the purposes of keeping safe those who are enforcing the immigration laws.
Okay, I want to ask you about two what seem on the surface to be local issues, but they have great import across the nation. One, you have suggested you would deny highway funds, I believe, to the city of Galveston if they don't take what amounts to LGBTQ street art, street crosswalk flags and painting off of the city streets. Tell me why.
Well, it's not just Galveston. It's any city in the state. It's because, listen, this was a mandate that came down from the United States Secretary of Transportation, threatening funds to any state that doesn't enforce this. And so, of course, we're going to enforce it.
So these are pride flags and crosswalks, painting in the middle of an intersection.
So it could be that. It could be anything. In a crosswalk that is not a recognized safety device such as stop. Listen, we need people to see what the traffic signs are, know what to do at a crosswalk, as opposed to diverting their eyes to something else. But it's more than that. Again, this is something that the Federal Secretary of Transportation is saying, these are the requirements. If you're going to be receiving federal funds, you have to do this.
All right, one last question for you. Throughout this week, I've been talking about quite often the concept of justice and how many victims in the United States are being denied justice by judges in various counties. You know as well as I do the nature of Travis County, Texas, the home of Austin. But we have seen murderers in Kentucky let out of prison after murdering a 6-year-old boy because he served, I guess, what was required of him under insanity. We saw a University of Texas student who was murdered in 2017. His murderer is now back out on the streets. What can we do about these judges? Like, I'll give you an example. Karen Sage in Travis County, Texas, who just gave a fentanyl dealer 10 months probation. When everybody was prepared for a 10-year sentence, she gave him probation. And this is a problem across the country where we have either district attorneys or judges who are not they're not executing what I think anyone with common sense would define as justice.
Sure. So we're fed up with it, and we took action on it. We passed an array of laws this past session to crack down on, and a constitutional amendment. Right now, there's only one crime for which judges can deny bail, and that's capital murder. We increased that to 10 crimes. Here's the deal. We did our part. Now we need the voters to go to the polls this November, early voting this October, to codify the constitutional amendment that gives judges more authority and requires them to keep these dangerous criminals behind bars.
All right. Good luck to both of us. We're both wearing our burnt orange. Tomorrow's a big day.
Hook 'em.
Hook 'em horns. Good to see you, Governor. Thank you. Hey, it's Will Cain. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Cain podcast for full episodes right now.